Welcome to my channel. Gonna be knocking some bicep curls out today. It's Monday, so fun day of the week, kicking off this week. Let's see. Just basic intro. This is a recording my workouts. I'm doing a body transformation this year. Difference between my body transformation and others is that I'm not using any sort of supplements. So that's no creatine, no protein shakes, protein mixes, no protein products like that. No BCAs, no pre-workouts. Just trying to get all my nutrients from the food that I eat. I'm not opposed to supplements. I've taken them in the past. They work great. I think if you like taking them, awesome. You should do that and do what works best for you. I just wanted to see if it was absolutely necessary to hit my physical goals. If it was absolutely necessary to take so many products to hit my physical goals, or if I could just do it from the nutrients from the food that I eat. You know. So yeah, that's it. And just jump right into it. Gonna warm up bicep curls with 10 pounders. Here we go. It's 4.53 kilograms. Had a pretty good weekend. I won my week in fantasy football. That was nice. Took out my brother-in-law. He is not the funnest person in the world to lose to, so it was really nice to beat him. He won our league last year, and man, he can be obnoxious to lose too. So it was nice. It was nice winning. Hopefully, he doesn't win this year. He's on a three. This is his third week losing, so maybe he'll just lose the whole time. We'll see. It's hard. You never know. Luck is such a big factor in fantasy football. Feel like you can do all the research in the world, stack your team up, but just can't help. I can't help luck. My nephew, he's got he built a really good team right off of the draft. Things were looking really good for him, but he's already at four players that are out and possibly out for the season, and they're really good players. So that that sucks and just automatically like turns against him. So that's a bummer because he's a good guy. Some people you're like happy to beat, and some people you're like it's all in good fun. But I'm gonna be playing him this week. Just you never can control how your team's gonna go. People get hurt, people get arrested, people get shot. It was last season. Um, Forget the player's name. I know he's Washington's team, but he was like a promising player. My sister-in-law drafted him, and then he got shot in that carjacking. It's crazy. And last year I had Jefferson on the Vikings, and I won my first like 5 games thanks to him. Was killing it when he got hurt, and he was my first round draft pick. In our league, you can't get rid of your first round draft pick, so I was stuck with him on the bench the rest of the season. And this season he's doing good, but my wife has him on her team. And I feel like in our league especially it's luck because we have only 6 teams. So we have the pick of like the best of all the players. So everyone's team is pretty stacked as a result. And no one's like a pro in this, so no one's going out and looking up, you know, doing a lot of their own research. Everyone's using pretty much the same database to pick their players. So a lot of it's luck. I don't see anyone drafting like some random guy and being like, "This is the one this week," and then it happening for them. It's not how it's working out. No one seems to have that level of commitment to picking their teams. So luck. All right, done warming up. Gonna move on to the 35 pounders. Having some. Started playing Rocket League again. I haven't played Rocket League consistently in like 2 years, I think. It's a lot of fun. Jump back into that. It's a good game to play with my kids around. It's only like, was it 5-minute rounds? So you can kind of get in, get a game going, and get out. And they're getting crazy, and you can't keep playing. It's easier. And I find that Rocket League is an easier game to step away from than if you're like in Black Ops. I feel like when it's a first person shooter, I start to take the losses harder. And so if I'm in the middle of losing, but I feel like I could win on the next one, I get very like frustrated pulling away from that. I'm still running behind on the weight loss. I keep expecting it to fall off faster, but right now I'm at 205. I'm hoping to be easily at 203 by Friday. I was around 205 on Friday. So putting some hard cardio this week. Count those calories. Counting calories is very frustrating. Oh man. Not doing as good as last week. I'm gonna blame that on being sick. I was a little sick. I'm excited though. I got a new mattress this week. Got it on Friday, and it is super firm. It'll get less firm quickly when you first get on there, like, but I love it. I like a very firm mattress. So right now it's good for me. My wife isn't jazzed over it. She went ahead and got a pillow top to go with it, but it's nice. Like I said, in a couple of weeks it'll be less firm. We had this problem last time. We bought a firm mattress. It was really firm, and then they told us like, oh, you gotta like break it in a little bit, and it'll be fine. And it was. And then eventually, it stops being firm altogether. man, that sucks. I'm blessed with being able to sleep on anything hard. I can sleep on a rock face. I can sleep, you know, in the dirt. It's not gonna bother me. As long as I don't have a root like in the middle of my back or something, I can sleep. It's good. When I was living in China, we went and stayed with a friend and her family for Spring Festival. And we were spent like a week at this house. We were sleeping on a plywood board with a sheet on it. That was the bed. And, managed to get used to it after like the first night. Sleep just fine. A few nights on a plywood board won't kill you. And if you're sleeping on plywood, you might have to not worry about skin mites as much or dust mites. I don't know if that's true. Actually, I imagine mites could probably be in a plywood board too. I remember when I was in the Forbidden City in China, in Beijing, there was like a pillow that was made out of jade, and the I don't want to say mattress, but there was like a jade covering for the bed, like individual jade stones that were flat and stuff. And they said like it was nice and cooling. And I imagine it is. Like one of the coldest nights I ever had of sleeping was on the tile floor. Because anytime you touched the tile, it was like freezing cold and would wake you up. No matter what, it seemed like the tile would never warm up. And I feel like that must have been the whole part with the jade. I always said nice and cool. one of the most like uncomfortable living conditions I've ever seen, though, especially like where the beds were concerned, was on a Russian submarine, like Cold War era. It's actually down in San Diego in their maritime museum. But man, that whole ship was uncomfortable. There wasn't a place on that ship where I felt like I could stand up and fully stretch, like just stand up tall. I'm only 5'9". I couldn't imagine like what a person that's 6 feet tall would feel like in that submarine. But it was so small and so cramped. You're constantly like, even if your head wasn't hitting the roof, there was just a compulsion because of how close everything was to like hunch. Could not imagine living that life. And all you had to do to entertain yourself was like cards or chess or books. No movies, no iPhones. Seems like keeping your sanity could get rough on that ship. And seeing it was a Russian sub and Cold War era, I can't imagine there was a lot of really great literature that you could read. Or if you did, like, you'd have to be very careful with how you discussed your thoughts about it. Because heaven forbid you have any interpretations of a book that would counter the state. I just can't imagine how rare of a breed it is, a person that could manage their sanity on those ships. You could literally feel the walls closing in on you, especially if you're going down deep and you hear the metal straining. I wonder what it was like for them when they finally got off the ship. Like if there was any sort of like after being conditioned to a small area, getting off like wide open spaces, was that harder for them once they become mentally inclined to be in such a small space? Start freaking out when they see the sky. You know, that submarine reminds me of like the idea of people spelunking. That's another one. Going into unknown caves and crawling around where you can barely move. I would definitely only do that if I had a good way to mark as I went every single path. No chance of getting confused. Earlier, I was listening to some guys on YouTube talking about giants. Such a fun subject. Ancient giants and what people think and how big. One of my favorite stories are how there's like the consistent theme of they find the giants and then someone comes in and steals the bodies. Some government agency or some Illuminati S group just goes in and takes all the corpses. I find that very fascinating. But and there's ones they can't hide, like in Sardinia, they have like the giant tombs and the statues of giants and stuff. And I think in Israel they found like a giant spearhead that's they think is like designed for a regular spear. So it would have had a massive shaft. So it could have possibly been left over from the giants the Bible records living in the area. So a lot of people know like the story of David and Goliath, but don't know that there's like other like he had brothers. Then there's other stories of other giants that lived in that time. I get very I take eyewitness accounts. All right, I'm less skeptical than I used to be about eyewitness accounts because you hear stories where someone says like they saw a UFO, and for years we'd say like, well, why didn't you get like a picture of it? Why is it that only people that are drunk see these things? And then one night I was camping. Hold on. I'm gonna go down to 25s, 11.34 kilograms. So one night I was camping and we were out at the campfire, and all of a sudden, across the sky, I see these equally spaced out, or look like they're equally spaced out, green balls of light going across the sky. And it was so precise. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. And I tried to take a picture of it with my cell phone. And I just because of the lighting from the surrounding area, and I couldn't get the focus right, and I didn't catch a picture of it. And then, so now if I was telling this story, people would be like, well, were you drinking? Yeah, I had a couple of beers. Okay, so you were drinking, it's late at night, and you saw these lights. But did you get a picture of it? And I said, no, I couldn't get a picture of it. I'm like, okay, well, you were clearly drunk, and you just thought you saw something that wasn't there. And that's how the story would be told, and we've told for generations. Yeah, my, dad saw something once, but he was drinking. Who knows what he saw?